Tonight on Elon Local News.
Gone for good. 7 days until we say goodbye to masks. Healthy Elon Chair Jeff Stein says there's no interest in changing course.
Price hikes. Gas prices hitting the highest levels in over a decade. How students are planning their travel for spring break.
And building back bricks. One man responsible for Elon's signature look.
Those stories and more.
Elon Local News starts now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you are watching Elon Local News.
Good Monday evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Naomi Washington.
And I'm Jenna Mandarioli. We welcome you inside the Jane and Brian Williams studio for another edition of Elon Local News.
We're just 1 week away from the university's mask mandate being lifted, but has the community already moved on? We begin our coverage there.
Elon University's indoor mask mandate is set to lift March 14th as students are away on spring break. The decision was announced by Healthy Elon Chair Jeff Stein last week, providing a 2-week preparation period. Meanwhile, within the UNC system and at Duke University, students were able to attend class maskless today. They announced their decision just 3 days ago. Some Elon students, like sophomore Krista Pacello, want to know why there's a 2-week buffer.
I don't know what would have changed. I feel like a lot of people are more lenient now anyway. Yeah, I don't think 2 weeks from now would be any different than it would right now.
Stein said the 2 weeks were intentional to consider student staff needs.
And I don't see within what we've announced, reinforcement for force on these decisions. It's really about, as you said, respect, and our campus policy is this shift to mask optional, with the caveat that we'd have the extra ability to ask each other in these smaller spaces.
Stein says we know
a lot more today about the effectiveness of one-way masking, especially with KN95s now available at the Mosley front desk. He says all of this is still, quote, unprecedented, and Healthy Elon wants students and staff to work together on their comfort levels, but stopped short to say faculty can mandate masks inside their classrooms.
Because I know, even in our class earlier this morning, we were talking about, making sure that we're aware of our facial expressions while we're even around people, because it's going to be a big change.
This is Jeff Stein now.
We intentionally waited and chose the 14th even so that we would have spring break for the case numbers to come down even further before everyone was back on campus. All those things are moving in the same forward direction. There's no, we have no interest in, switching things up unnecessarily.
Not every student is all smiles now that masks are coming off. Some say they'll have new concerns about the adjustment. Freshman Sarah Rothacker is a dance major. She says she appreciated the 2-week notice because it changes how she will perform in her classes.
Because I know, even in our class earlier this morning, we were talking about, making sure that we're, aware of our facial, expressions while, we're even, around people, because it's, going to be a big change.
Freshman Gage Peckham says his #1 concern is how comfortable his college professors are in the classroom.
Obviously, there are some situations where the professors can be more vulnerable to COVID and whatnot, so I think I'll still respect my professor's decision no matter what he says. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to wear a mask in class, to be honest with you.
The latest now as the crisis continues in Ukraine. Overseas, a third round of talks between Russian and Ukrainian delegations took place today as Putin claims he will honor ceasefires in major Ukrainian cities, allowing for evacuations. According to the United Nations, nearly 2 million refugees have fled Ukraine since the invasion began, with more approaching the border.
NATO has now been given the go-ahead to send retired fighter jets to Ukraine, and according to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, the U.S. may be in a position to soon backfill resources to the Ukrainian military.
We are working with Poland as we speak to see if we can backfill anything that they provide to the Ukrainians. We very much support them, providing MiGs, Sus, planes that Ukrainians can fly to the Ukrainians. But we also want to see if we can be helpful, as I said, in making sure that whatever they provide to the Ukrainians, something goes to them to make up for any gap in the security for Poland that might result. We're actively talking about that right now.
Meanwhile, here at home, students who recently returned from a winter term course abroad to Bosnia and Cyprus are sharing their learning experiences at this hour in the Center for the Arts. Students are talking about those countries' conflicts, divided communities, and giving their personal insight into how the course helped them understand the current war in Ukraine. After the show, find our continuous coverage on the event at our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And I'm still like helping pay for gas for like our spring break trip where we're all going together. So it's definitely like something that we're all thinking about. Spring break's coming up and we're like, uh-oh, gas prices are gonna be high.
U.S. gas prices have reached the highest level since 2008. This in large part because of crude oil prices. Those surged after Russia, which controls 10% of the world's oil, launched its war on Ukraine. As this day's progress and prices increase, members of Congress across the political aisle continue to put pressure on the Biden administration to ban Russian oil imports, after the White House had continuously said it had, quote, no strategic interest in those sanctions. Discussions between the U.S. and European allies are now underway.
Meanwhile, students across campus are feeling the impact on their wallets at the pump and are watching price hikes as they prepare for their spring break travels. Sophomore Desiree Zaman doesn't drive but says she's helping for her friend's trip back to Florida.
And I'm still like helping pay for gas for like our spring break trip where we're all going together. So it's definitely like something that we're all thinking about. Spring break's coming up and we're like, uh-oh, gas prices are gonna be high.
The current average for a gallon of regular grade fuel in Burlington is a penny away from the $4 mark and the record high average price. Burlington's average has gone up about 4 cents since yesterday and is now $3.91.
There have been reports from students across campus saying they've been notified by their Find My iPhone app of being tracked by an Apple AirTag. It's a small device that links your Apple iCloud account to track any item you attach it to.
In the past few months, there have been reports of this happening in communities across the country. Elon Campus Police Officer Sergeant Hooks has been investigating this on Elon's campus, and he joins us now with Campus Police Chief Joe Lemire.
Thank you both so much for joining us. Can you just start to talk about the concerns that students have been expressing to you and your communication about these AirTag cases and what's occurring?
Sure. A lot of students call us when they receive this notification on their phone, usually through the Find My application with Apple devices. It's a message that says an unknown device has been monitoring your location or has been following you, or it may say AirPods or AirTags. From that, it gives them a list of options where they can play a noise to try and locate that device, disconnect their phone from it. But the main concern is it gives them the impression that someone's watching where they're going. That always isn't the case. The AirTags work as a Bluetooth device that sends messages to other Apple devices that are connected to a network to identify a location. It itself is not a GPS. And most people buy these legitimately to put on their keys, their wallets, their book bags, or other personal items so they don't misplace them, or if they do, they can find out where they're at. A lot of issues we see on campus is how tightly we are together, both living, moving from classes to classes, eating, and someone may legitimately have one walking near you along the same path, and it can trigger that notification. I had an opportunity to speak with some Apple employees at one of their stores locally, and they couldn't give a definitive time, place, or location that it takes for that response to trigger, but it all is based on time and proximity. Some online reports will say that the device itself, the small Apple AirTag, about the size of a quarter, has to be separated from the owner before it can send that notification. But then again, it won't say how long it has to be with the other person. We've done some in-house experiments, and the 2 times we've gotten it to give us a notification, it was away from me, it was attached to my phone, and it was with another person for a few hours before they received it. But then again, it doesn't mean that it's with that person the entire time. If you happen to be moving the same location or same pattern as someone else, it could trigger that notification as well.
And we know that security updates are coming at the end of the month. What can we expect from that?
Well, we have a system right now that we use that does a LiveSafe app, and then the one that sends out the alerts to campus. So we are going to be switching to a new Rave Mobile Safety at the end of the month, and it'll be more of an opt-out system. So everybody, student, staff, faculty, are going to be in the system automatically. So what we're pushing right now is telling students that in your on-track user file, put your cell phone in there. Make sure it's in there, because that's what's going to go into the system, and then we could reach you by text message and reach you by the email. We're also going to a new safety app at the end of the month, so LiveSafe will end and a new one will start. And it's got a few more bells and whistles and things that help keep students safe.
Well, Chief Lemire and Sergeant Hooks, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Emily Sharp is Elon's second town of Elon female mayor. We'll hear from her as we kick off Women's History Month ahead.
Warm and windy day with rain in the forecast. I'll tell you about this wacky weather after this.
Hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Filing for the 2022 midterm elections is now complete, and voters are set to decide on 76 candidates across state and county elections. This includes 2 candidates running for Alamance County Sheriff. Incumbent Terry Johnson, who has been in office since 2002 and ran unopposed since 2014, will now face challenger Kelly White. The primary election for the midterms is May 17th. For the latest on the state of the races impacting you, visit the politics tab on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
March is Women's History Month, and we're beginning our month-long series today with Emily Sharp. She is the second female to serve as mayor in the town of Elon, and she spoke with our Avery Sloan about her experiences as a woman in politics.
The last time the town of Elon had a female mayor was 25 years ago when Beth Schmidt served in the position. Sharp says representation on Elon's Board of Aldermen is very important.
I don't see myself being any different than the male mayors, just having a different perspective. I think that women in general always bring a different perspective. We have different lived experiences.
Sharp also talked about her experience in terms of women's history.
You know, at one time, women couldn't own land. Women couldn't vote. I certainly couldn't sit where I am right now. But so for me, I haven't personally experienced a lot of barriers in terms of being a female in political office or elected office, but that certainly hasn't been the case for people who've come before me.
Sharp's main goal as mayor is to find ways to bring both Elon students and full-time residents together.
The things that I did to bring people together was inviting student groups and residents and even children. My own 6-year-old will come and we do litter sweep. And, you know, that's just one way of bringing people together.
Avery Sloan, Elon Local News.
For more on this story, pick up a copy of the Women's History edition of The Pendulum, available March 23rd.
Naomi, it's been really warm this weekend, and all day today was in the 80s.
I know. My flip-flops were able to make an appearance for this weekend, and although today was pretty warm, it was this humid and sticky feeling all day. It was
kind of windy too. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, it was quite weird, but I'm still enjoying it. Well, we're 16 minutes after the hour, and joining us live on Citroen Plaza for a look at the weather is Margaret Faust.
Margaret, good evening to you. It's getting warmer out there, but are spring showers on the way?
Hi, Jenna and Naomi. The spring showers are quite literally on its way. Right as we started that weather animation, those raindrops began to fall. And it is predicted to last until 9 p.m. tonight, so make sure that you make it home as soon as you can so that you can stay safe and dry. Now let's take a look at your Phoenix 5-day forecast. We enjoyed high temperatures today in the 70s, but unfortunately those warm temperatures are not going to stick around. Tomorrow it's going to be cloudy with temperatures in the low 60s, which is kind of a bummer. And Wednesday and Thursday it is going to be raining with temperatures in the low 50s. Make sure to stay dry and stay safe, especially on these bricks out here. It can get slippery when it rains. The good news is that Friday it's going to warm up with temperatures in the 60s, so we can enjoy some sunshine and warm weather for our last day of classes before spring break. But unfortunately the rain is going to come back on Saturday, so make sure that you stay safe on those wet roads as you head to your spring break destination. That's all for you in your Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you in the studio.
Margaret Faust live on Citroen Plaza for us this evening. Thank you.
Still ahead, the Phoenix return from Washington, D.C. I'll have the latest when Elon Local News returns.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
In a tale of two halves, Elon's men's basketball season ends with a loss against the University of North Carolina Wilmington Seahawks in the quarterfinal game against the Colonial Athletic Association tournament.
Despite the Phoenix maintaining a lead for the entirety of the first half, UNCW came out flying in the second half to take the lead and never let it go.
Here's a quick look at this weekend's events. Get closer.
Caitlin Rundle is back with us in the studio to talk about the action-packed weekend.
How was it in DC?
You know, it was great, and I just came back a few hours ago, so glad that I made it back to you at the desk with you all. But it was a great weekend of coverage. We had Mason Willett, Claire Grant, and Aaron Martin join us as well at the weekend. So the four of us, we did have a great weekend. Not exactly the result that we wanted, we're hoping to stay there a couple extra days. But overall, it was a great weekend to be there. The arena's very nice.
Of course. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Sure. So the Seahawks came in as the number 2 seed as well as the co-champions of the CAA conference. Elon came in as the number 7 seed, so they were this massive underdog, but that usually has worked in Elon's favor in the past. Last year, they made it all the way to the CAA championships for the first time in its history. So it came out with this kind of point-to-prove mentality. Within the first 8 minutes, they were up by 14 points, and UNCW just had a 1-point lead for 30 seconds of the entire half. It was really Elon's half to win. And then in the second half, UNCW kind of found its footing a little bit. Within 3 minutes, they came back and took the lead, and from then on out, it was just UNCW had the better game plan. In the post-game presser, Coach Stragi said that that's what it came down to. Take a look.
It was just a tale of two halves. I thought, first half, I thought we could be up even more. At the end of the half, I think they were feeling a bit better about themselves, but I thought we executed our game plan. And the second half, give them credit. They responded, and I thought we set the tone the first half. They set the tone the second half.
Now, a key part of UNCW's defense in the second half was shutting down key Phoenix players Hunter McIntosh and Darius Burford. Darius Burford had averaged about 24 points in its past 3 meetings with the Seahawks, and Hunter McIntosh had ended the first half with 13 points. He was the lead scorer on either team in the half. So in the second half, with those two shut down, the Phoenix just didn't have an answer offensively. The team itself just scored 6 times from the floor in the second half in entirety. So it might be too early to look ahead to the future, but Coach Stragi said going into the postseason, the focus has to be on offense to fill in those holes.
I think we're going to have to grow a lot offensively here in the future. Those guys have been so important to us, but any team that knows their value is going to try to make it really tough on them. I just think they ramped up the pressure. Those guys had to handle the full court all game.
Coming up on Friday, the women's basketball team will have its chance to play in the CAA tournament, so be sure to check out our coverage there at Sports ENN.
When wrist injuries in the pandemic shut down one Elon senior's competitive spirit, she found a new sport to take seriously, disc golf. Elon senior Sarah Austin began casually playing the sport just before the lockdowns began 2 years ago. During the early months of the pandemic, she went out on the course every day as a way to get out of the house and stay active.
I didn't have anything to fill like that hole in my heart, like competition in sports. So playing disc golf apparently is exactly what I needed.
Amateur prizes are typically free discs from tournaments, but once Austin discovered she had a talent for the sport, she decided she wanted to make money off of it.
After playing for a year and a half, I accumulated probably over 150 discs just from that time period. So I was like, I am done being an amateur. I think I'm ready to go pro. And now I've made about $600 in the past 2 months.
Austin says she is on a winning streak, having won her last 4 tournaments and recently picked up a sponsorship deal. To read more, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Coming up, his business is bricks and he's the only man on the job. We'll have more after this.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul.
Estimated time, 47 hours.
They will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls, second.
Are you orange?
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blue fountains and red bricks are what Elon's campus is made up of and known for, but it's one staff member's job to keep the sidewalks smooth and replace some of the millions of bricks each day. Our Anne-Marie Bonner has more.
Cody Watson is Elon University's brick mason, meaning he works every day to build and repair bricks around campus. He says with a campus like Elon's, there's always work to do.
It's kind of mind-blowing because when you look around, it's nothing but brick. They don't build metal buildings and stick-built buildings with vinyl siding. It's always masonry. So I feel like there's job security here for me.
Watson has worked at Elon for 5 years and sees his fair share of brick thieves. When a student steals a brick, he's the only person who can fix it, adding to his daily to-do list. When a brick is stolen, it's their policy to replace it in 24 hours. But he'll fix it on the next workday if it's stolen over the weekend.
I do get a little bit of pressure, but I don't let it sweat me. You can't let pressure get you because you're only one person here. They know that, so I don't let it bother me.
As campus continues to expand, Watson says he hopes the staff will also expand beyond just himself.
Once you get 10,000 students, way more buildings, they're going to have to give. Like, I might be doing a great job, but I don't think I'll be held to upkeep all that square footage, like, and get things fixed in time for events and stuff like that. So, like, those issues we run into with me being the only guy here.
Anne-Marie Bonner, Elon Local News.
Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
For all the news you need to know when we're not on the air, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and have a great week, Elon.